My beloved friend, there are mornings when I open my eyes, and before my feet ever touch the floor, I already feel the weight of the day pressing down on my chest. Nothing has gone wrong yet, but everything feels heavy. My mind is full, my heart is tired, and somewhere deep inside, there's a quiet realization that I don't actually know how to carry what lies ahead. If you've ever woken up like that, then you understand what I'm about to say. Today, I want to speak to the part of you that feels lost. Not dramatic lost, not hopeless lost, but that subtle, disorienting kind of lost where you're still moving, still functioning, still showing up for everyone else, yet inside you're unsure whether you're walking in the right direction at all. The kind of lost that comes when you're standing at a crossroads and every option feels costly. When every decision feels heavier than it should. When you whisper under your breath, almost embarrassed by how small your voice sounds, "Lord, I don't know what to do. Please show me the way." That whisper matters. It's not weakness, it's honesty. And honesty is often the doorway God uses to draw near. I've learned this over time. Feeling lost does not mean God is absent. It often means you've reached the end of your own clarity. And that's usually where divine guidance begins. Because God has never promised that we would always feel certain, but He has promised that He would lead. He is not the author of confusion. He is not distant when His children are unsure. Scripture calls Him a shepherd, and shepherds don't shout directions from afar. They walk ahead, they guide gently, they stay close. When life pulls us in 1,000 directions, when responsibilities stack up and expectations crowd in, our souls become noisy places. We wake up already behind, already rushed, already trying to solve problems in our own strength. And without realizing it, we start the day carrying burdens we were never meant to hold alone. But God's heart toward us has always been one of restoration, not pressure. He leads us beside still waters. He restores our souls. Not when everything is perfect, but when everything feels overwhelming. That's why where you place God in your morning matters more than you think. Proverbs tells us to trust in the Lord with all our heart and lean not on our own understanding. That sounds simple, but it's one of the hardest spiritual disciplines we'll ever practice. Because leaning on our own understanding feels responsible, it feels mature, it feels safe, but our understanding is limited. It sees fragments, not the full picture. And when we place God second, after our plans, after our fears, after our attempts to control, we end up exhausted, not because life is too heavy, but because we're carrying it out of order. Morning prayer is not about checking a spiritual box. It's about alignment. It's about deciding before the noise enters, before the demands begin, before anxiety starts writing the script for your day, that God will be first. Because when God is first, everything else eventually finds its proper place. Let me speak honestly for a moment. Some of you listening right now are not tired because you're lazy or unfocused. You're tired because you've been trying to manage outcomes that only God was meant to control. You've been replaying decisions, worrying through possibilities, holding on to fears that feel too real to ignore. And the Spirit of God is gently whispering this morning, "Give it to me. Let me lead you." There is a difference between effort and striving. Effort is obedience. Striving is fear disguised as responsibility. And surrender is not giving up. It's handing over what was never meant to live in your hands in the first place. That's why the question we need to ask ourselves isn't, am I praying? But am I truly seeking God's will? Or am I asking Him to bless my own plans after I've already decided? Scripture tells us that if we lack wisdom, we should ask God, who gives generously and without condemnation. But it also tells us that when we ask, we must believe. Faith is the bridge between prayer and movement. Without faith, we second-guess every step. We hesitate until opportunities pass us by. We stay stuck, not because God hasn't spoken, but because fear keeps us frozen. Faith does not require full visibility. Faith requires trust. Think about a child crossing a busy street while holding their father's hand. The child doesn't calculate traffic patterns. They don't analyze timing. They trust the one who sees what they cannot. God does not ask us to understand the whole road. He asks us to trust Him for the next step. One of the greatest threats to divine guidance isn't rebellion, it's distraction. The enemy doesn't need to derail your destiny with destruction. He can dull it with noise, with busyness, with endless activity that leaves no room to listen. God promises that His voice will guide us, whether we turn right or left. But a heart drowned in noise struggles to recognize the whisper. That's why morning prayer is essential. It quiets the chaos. It recenters the soul. It reminds us that we are not navigating this life alone. Without that daily realignment, something dangerous happens. Not ignorance, but indifference. We may still know what's right, but we stop caring enough to pursue it. And the greatest danger is not that you don't know God's will, it's that you stop seeking it. God's word is described as a lamp, not a spotlight. It doesn't flood the future with clarity. It illuminates just enough for the next step. And when you walk faithfully in the light you have, more light comes. Doors open. Paths align. People call it luck, but you'll know better. You'll know it was obedience meeting divine timing. Some of you have been waiting for God to move, but God has been waiting for you to obey the last instruction He gave you. Guidance is progressive. God doesn't reveal the next chapter until the current one is lived out in faith. That's why today isn't just about asking for direction. It's about committing to walk in obedience, even when the path feels narrow. Take a moment and look back. Think about the doors that closed and later revealed themselves as protection. The delays that redirected you. The seasons of confusion that prepared you for clarity. God has not changed. The same God who guided you then is guiding you now. And so this morning, before the weight of the day settles in, before fear speaks louder than faith, I want to begin with one honest confession, one that opens the door to peace. Lord, I can't carry this day alone. And from that place of surrender, everything changes. Let us begin to pray together now. Lord, this morning I come before you not with polished words or rehearsed strength, but with honesty, because you see me exactly as I am right now. Before the noise of this world fills my mind, before responsibilities begin pulling at my attention, before fear tries to take the lead, I choose to pause and turn my heart fully toward you. I admit what I so often try to hide. I cannot carry this day alone. I feel the weight of decisions ahead of me, the pressure of expectations placed on my shoulders, the quiet anxiety of not knowing how everything will unfold, and I acknowledge that my strength is not enough for what lies ahead. Lord, you know the thoughts that have kept me awake, the questions I have been replaying, the crossroads where I feel unsure which direction is right, and even the moments when I have smiled outwardly while inwardly feeling lost and overwhelmed. This morning, I refuse to pretend that I have it all together. I refuse to rely on my own understanding because I have seen how limited my vision can be. Instead, I place my trust in you, the God who sees the end from the beginning, the God who is not surprised by my confusion or intimidated by my weakness. I place my hand over my heart and invite you into the deepest places of my soul, the places that feel fragile, the places that feel tired, the places that feel unsure, and I ask you to lead me. Not just guide my steps outwardly, but align my heart inwardly, because I know that true direction begins within. Lord, soften my heart this morning. Remove anything that has made me resistant, guarded, or spiritually dull. I do not want to move through this day numb to your voice or distracted from your presence. I want to be attentive, sensitive, and responsive to you. Teach me again how to listen, how to wait, how to discern the gentle whisper of your spirit, even when the world around me is loud and demanding. I confess that there have been times when I have rushed ahead of you, times when I have tried to solve everything in my own strength, and then asked you to bless the outcome, and I ask for your forgiveness. I lay down my need to control. I release my grip on outcomes, timelines, and expectations that I was never meant to manage alone. Lord, I surrender my plans before they become idols, my worries before they turn into chains, my fears before they harden my heart. I acknowledge you as Lord over this day, over my thoughts, over my words, over my actions, and over every decision I will face. Be first in my life today. Be first before my ambitions, before my schedule, before my opinions, before my reactions. I do not want you added to my day as an afterthought. I want you to define the direction of it from the very beginning. Your word tells me to trust you with all my heart, and today I choose to do that. Even though trusting you means admitting that I do not have all the answers. I bring you my uncertainty and ask you to exchange it for peace. I bring you my restlessness and ask you to anchor my soul. I bring you my weakness and ask you to clothe me with your strength. Lord, guide my steps today, not just away from danger, but toward purpose. Direct me not just toward what feels right, but toward what is right in your eyes. When I am tempted to rush, teach me patience. When I am tempted to react in fear, teach me faith. When I am tempted to compromise for convenience, remind me of the value of obedience. I ask you to straighten my path, to order my priorities, and to give me clarity where my mind feels clouded. I do not ask you to reveal the entire road ahead of me, because I know you call me to walk by faith, not by sight, but I ask you for light enough for the next step. Help me to trust you one step at a time, one decision at a time, one moment at a time. Lord, protect me today from distraction. Guard my heart from becoming so busy that I miss your guidance, so overwhelmed that I ignore your prompting. so tired that I stop seeking your will. I do not want to drift through this day spiritually disengaged. I want to walk with intention, with awareness, with dependence on you. Teach me to recognize when you are redirecting me, even if it comes through closed doors, delays, or interruptions. Help me not to resist your guidance simply because it is different from what I expected. Lord, I ask you to give me a humble spirit, one that is willing to be taught, corrected, and shaped by you. Remove pride that makes me think I know better. Remove stubbornness that keeps me from changing course when you speak. Make me teachable, moldable, and responsive like clay in the hands of a loving potter. I want to begin this day grounded in surrender, not striving, rooted in trust, not fear, anchored in you, not in my circumstances. I place this entire day into your hands, every conversation, every task, every decision, every unknown, trusting that when I acknowledge you in all my ways, you will direct my paths. I choose faith over anxiety, obedience over control, trust over self-reliance, and surrender over striving, knowing that you are a faithful God who leads your children with wisdom, patience, and love. And I rest in the truth that I am not walking alone. And because I know that you go before me, I now choose to place you at the very center of everything that follows. I declare with my mouth and my heart that you are not an accessory to my life. You are the foundation of it. I refuse to build this day on my emotions, my confidence, or my understanding, because all of those can shift, weaken, or fail, but you remain unchanging. Lord, today I consciously step out of self-dependence and into God-dependence. I release the illusion that I must have everything figured out before I can move forward, and I choose instead to move forward because I trust the one who is leading me. I give you my will, not partially, not conditionally, but fully, because I have learned that a surrendered will is the doorway to true freedom. I lay down my need to manage outcomes, to predict results, to protect myself from disappointment by staying guarded, and I ask you to replace that posture with childlike trust. Teach me to hold my plans loosely and your promises firmly. Lord, strengthen my faith today. Not a fragile faith that collapses when circumstances change, but a resilient faith that stands even when the road is narrow and the cost of obedience feels high. Give me a faith that does not shrink back when the crowd goes another way, a faith that does not bend under pressure, a faith that remains anchored when answers are delayed. I ask you to uproot compromise from my heart, those subtle places where I have allowed convenience to outweigh conviction, where I have chosen what is easy over what is right. Expose any area where I have grown spiritually lazy, where I have settled into routine without devotion, where I have known your truth but delayed my response to it. Awaken my spirit again, Lord. Rekindle holy hunger within me. I do not want a comfortable faith. I want a living faith. I do not want a passive walk. I want a purposeful one. I choose obedience even when it costs me comfort, even when it requires sacrifice, even when it leads me down a path that feels lonely or misunderstood. I remember the story of Joseph, who chose integrity when compromise would have been easier, who trusted you in the pit, in the prison, and in the palace. And I ask you to give me that same steadfast heart. Teach me to remain faithful when no one is watching, to honor you when the outcome is uncertain, to believe that you are working even when my circumstances look unchanged. I remember Nehemiah, who refused distraction, who would not come down from the wall despite opposition, criticism, and intimidation, and I ask you to give me that same focus. Help me recognize the voices that try to pull me away from your assignment, the distractions that look urgent but are not essential, the invitations that would dilute my purpose. Give me the courage to say, I am doing a great work and I cannot come down. Lord, fortify my heart against discouragement. When progress feels slow, remind me that obedience is never wasted. When resistance rises, remind me that opposition often confirms that I am walking in the direction of purpose. When fatigue sets in, remind me that your strength is made perfect in my weakness. I remember Job, who trusted you even when everything familiar was stripped away, who worshipped you in the dark without understanding the reason for his suffering. And I ask you to give me that kind of faith. A faith that does not depend on outcomes. A faith that clings to you even when prayers seem unanswered. A faith that declares, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. Lord, I ask you to purify my motives today. Remove any desire for recognition that would pull me away from humility. Remove any ambition that is rooted in comparison rather than calling. I do not want success if it costs me intimacy with you. I do not want progress if it pulls me away from your presence. Align my desires with your will so that what I pursue honors you and what I release frees me. I remember Paul and Silas, who sang hymns in prison at midnight, whose worship was not silenced by chains, whose faith turned confinement into a doorway for deliverance. And I ask you to give me that same posture. Teach me to worship you not only when doors open, but when they seem shut. Teach me to praise you not only when circumstances are favorable, but when they are painful. Let my worship rise from trust, not convenience. Let my joy be rooted in who you are, not in what I receive. Lord, I choose diligence over apathy today. I renounce complacency. I renounce the slow drift that pulls the heart away from devotion. I refuse to coast spiritually. I refuse to live distracted, disengaged, or half-hearted. I choose to seek you with intention, to pursue you with consistency, to honor you with discipline even in the hidden places of my life. Teach me to be faithful in small things, knowing that you are the God who multiplies what is offered with obedience. Help me to steward my time, my energy, my words, and my influence in a way that reflects your wisdom. Lord, guard me against the temptation to measure my life by worldly standards. The world celebrates speed, visibility, and applause, but you honor faithfulness, obedience, and humility. Help me not to confuse noise with progress or attention with approval. I want your affirmation more than applause. I want your peace more than promotion. I want your presence more than position. Strengthen my resolve to walk the narrow path, even when the wide road looks appealing. Give me endurance when the journey feels long, patience when the promise feels distant, and courage when the cost feels personal. Lord, as I continue through this day, shape my responses. Teach me to respond with grace instead of defensiveness, with wisdom instead of impulse, with love instead of fear. When challenges arise, help me pause and seek you rather than react out of habit. when temptation presents itself, give me the clarity to recognize it and the strength to turn away. When doubt tries to creep in, anchor me again in your truth. I surrender not only my actions, but my inner life to you. My thoughts, my attitudes, my emotions, my assumptions, I place them all under your authority. Renew my mind so that it aligns with your word. Train my heart so that it beats in rhythm with your spirit. Order my steps so that they reflect your purpose. I declare today that I belong to you. My life is not my own. My plans are not my own. My future is not my own. I have been bought with a price, and I choose to honor you with my whole being. Even when obedience feels costly, I trust that it leads to life. Even when the path is narrow, I believe it leads to freedom. Even when I cannot see the end, I trust the one who holds it. And from this place of deep surrender and strengthened faith, Father, I ask you now to extend this surrender outward into every place my life touches, because faith that lives only in words has no power, but faith that shapes how I walk, how I choose, and how I endure becomes a living testimony. Lord, today I ask you to cover me with your protection, not as a shield that removes all difficulty, but as a presence that guards my heart, my mind, and my spirit as I move through it. Protect me from paths that look appealing, but lead me away from you. Protect me from decisions made in haste, from agreements formed in fear, from alliances that weaken my devotion. Guard my thoughts from anxiety that spirals, from discouragement that lies, from memories that accuse and try to pull me backward when you are calling me forward. I ask you to place a holy filter over my mind today, that I would dwell not on what threatens me, but on what anchors me in truth. Lord, protect my heart from bitterness. Where disappointment has left residue, wash it away. Where betrayal has hardened me, soften me again. I do not want to carry resentment into places where you are trying to bring healing. I ask you to heal wounds that are still tender, wounds I have learned to hide, but that still influence how I trust, how I love, how I hope. You are the God who restores souls, and I bring you mine without defense. Father, I ask you to provide for every need I carry into this day. You know the practical concerns that sit quietly in the background of my mind. Financial pressures, responsibilities toward my family, obligations I cannot avoid, needs I cannot meet on my own. I place them before you not with entitlement, but with trust. You are the God who fed Elijah in the wilderness, who provided manna day by day, who knows exactly what your children need before they ask. Teach me to trust you daily, not anxiously storing up fear for tomorrow, but faithfully receiving what you give today. Help me recognize provision when it comes, even if it does not arrive in the form I expected. Lord, I ask you to bring healing where there is brokenness. Heal bodies that are tired and worn. Heal minds that are burdened by stress and worry. Heal emotions that have been stretched thin by long seasons of endurance. Heal relationships that feel strained, distant, or fractured. Where there has been misunderstanding, bring clarity. Where there has been silence, bring honest conversation. Where there has been distance, bring reconciliation in your timing and your way. I trust you as the great physician, the one who heals not only what is visible, but what lies beneath the surface. Lord, I ask you to restore what has been lost. Restore hope where it has faded. Restore joy where it has been replaced by duty. Restore vision where disappointment has narrowed my expectations. Restore dreams that were laid aside, not because they were wrong, but because I grew weary of waiting. You are the God who resurrects what seems dead, who brings life where there was once only silence, who writes new chapters where I thought the story had ended. Father, I lift not only myself before you, but everyone who is connected to my life. I lift my family to you. Cover them with your peace. Guide their steps. Protect their hearts. Draw them closer to you in ways I cannot force or control. I lift my friends to you, those who are strong and those who are struggling, those who speak often and those who suffer quietly. Meet them where they are. Be near to them. I lift my work and my responsibilities to you. Let my labor be done with integrity, diligence, and humility. Help me work not for human approval, but as an offering to you. Give me wisdom in decisions, favor where it aligns with your will, and patience where growth takes time. Lord, I ask you to guard me against fear of the future. Fear whispers that I will not have enough, that I will not be enough, that I will fail before I even begin. But you remind me that you are already present in my tomorrow. You are not bound by time. You are not limited by my uncertainty. Teach me to rest in the truth that even when I cannot trace your hand, I can trust your heart. Lord, comfort me in places where I feel weak. There are moments when courage feels thin, when faith feels quiet, when I wonder if I have the strength to keep walking forward. In those moments, draw near, not with pressure, not with condemnation, but with tenderness. You are close to the brokenhearted. You do not rush the weary. You do not shame honest doubt. You lead gently, patiently, one step at a time. I ask you to remind me today that I am seen, every tear noticed, every prayer heard, every act of obedience recorded. Nothing offered to you is wasted. Lord, help me recognize your guidance even when it comes subtly, not always through dramatic signs, but through a quiet sense of peace, a timely word, a scripture that settles deeply, a person crossing my path at just the right moment. Train my heart to discern your direction without needing constant confirmation. Teach me to trust the steady pull of your spirit. When you say, "This is the way, walk in it," give me the courage to follow without delay. Lord, I ask you to give me perseverance. When progress feels slow, strengthen my resolve. When waiting feels heavy, steady my spirit. When obedience feels lonely, remind me that I am never truly alone. I remember that you strengthened Nehemiah to finish the work despite opposition, that you sustained Job through unimaginable loss, that you empowered Paul to endure hardship without losing hope. Give me that same endurance, that same quiet resilience that holds fast even when circumstances press hard. Father, I ask you to fill me with joy that does not depend on ease, joy that can sing even in confined spaces, joy that rises not from comfort, but from confidence in you. Let my joy become a witness, not because life is perfect, but because my trust is rooted in a faithful God. When the day challenges me, remind me that you are with me. When temptation approaches, Remind me that you provide a way of escape. When weariness creeps in, remind me that your strength renews those who wait on you. Lord, as I continue through this prayer, I hold my life open before you. I do not rush ahead to conclusions. I do not demand immediate resolution. I remain here, listening, trusting, yielding, knowing that you are shaping me even now, and with a heart that is open and a spirit that is attentive. I ask you now, Lord, to deepen this work within me, to move beyond what I can articulate into what must be transformed, because I know that true guidance is not only about direction, but about formation. Shape my character today so that wherever you lead me, I am prepared to walk there with integrity. I ask you to refine my inner life, the unseen places where habits are formed and attitudes take root, because I understand that where I go outwardly is always connected to who I am inwardly. Search my heart, Lord, and reveal anything that does not reflect your truth. Where fear disguises itself as wisdom, expose it. Where pride hides behind self-protection, dismantle it. Where insecurity drives my decisions, replace it with confidence grounded in you. I do not want to carry hidden motivations that distort my obedience. I want my yes to you to be clean, wholehearted, and sincere. Lord, train my conscience to be sensitive to your spirit. I do not want to silence conviction or rationalize disobedience. Teach me to recognize the early nudges of your guidance, the gentle warnings that come before regret, the quiet checks that protect me from paths that lead to compromise. Give me the humility to respond quickly when you correct me, and the wisdom to receive discipline as love, not rejection. I know that you discipline those you love, and I ask you to make me receptive rather than resistant when you shape me. Father, help me to steward my emotions today. I bring you my moods, my reactions, my internal responses to pressure. When frustration rises, slow me down. When anger flares, anchor me in grace. When disappointment threatens to harden my heart, soften me with perspective. I do not want my emotions to lead me. I want them to be led by truth. Teach me to feel deeply without being driven by what I feel, to acknowledge emotion without surrendering wisdom, to remain steady even when circumstances attempt to shake me. Lord, I ask you to sanctify my speech today. Let my words be measured, thoughtful, and life-giving. Guard my mouth from speaking out of haste, sarcasm, or defensiveness. Teach me when to speak and when to remain silent. Let my words reflect your patience, your kindness, and your truth. Where conversations are difficult, give me wisdom. Where tension exists, give me peace. Where misunderstanding arises, give me clarity without harshness. I want my voice to be an instrument of peace, not division, of truth, not harm. Father, I place my relationships before you. Every interaction I will have today, every person I will encounter, I submit to your guidance. Help me love without manipulation, serve without resentment, and forgive without keeping record of wrongs. Where relationships are strained, teach me how to walk in grace without enabling harm. Where boundaries are needed, give me courage to establish them without guilt. Where reconciliation is possible, soften hearts in your timing. I trust you to work in others in ways I cannot control, and I release the burden of trying to fix what only you can heal. Lord, I ask you to protect me from spiritual complacency. I know how easily familiarity can dull devotion. I know how routine can replace reverence if I am not careful. Stir my heart again with awe. Renew my wonder. Remind me that walking with you is not meant to become mechanical or stale, but alive and responsive. Keep me alert to your presence in ordinary moments. Let me recognize holy ground, even in daily tasks. Let me see you at work, not only in dramatic breakthroughs, but in quiet faithfulness. Father, I ask you to strengthen my resistance against temptation. You know the specific areas where I am vulnerable, the patterns I have struggled with, the distractions that weaken my resolve. I do not hide them from you. I bring them into the light and ask you to fortify me. Give me clarity to recognize temptation early, wisdom to flee what entangles me, and strength to choose what honors you, even when desire pulls in another direction. Remind me that temptation does not define me, and that obedience always leads to life. Lord, I ask you to teach me how to wait well. Waiting often exposes what I truly trust. In waiting, impatience rises, doubt whispers, and frustration tests my faith. But I ask you to transform my waiting into worship, my delay into devotion, my stillness into strength. Teach me that waiting is not wasted time, but fertile ground where trust grows deep roots. Help me remain faithful in the in-between seasons, confident that you are working even when I cannot see movement. Father, I bring you my sense of calling. I ask you to clarify it, refine it, and protect it. Where I am uncertain, give me patience. Where I am confident, keep me humble. Do not allow comparison to distort my purpose or envy to poison my joy. Teach me to run my race faithfully, without looking to the left or the right. I trust that you have uniquely designed my path, my pace, and my assignments, and I choose to honor you by walking them with faithfulness rather than striving for validation. Lord, I ask you to give me discernment in a world filled with voices. There are many opinions, many pressures, many narratives competing for my attention. Teach me to recognize your voice above all others. Help me weigh counsel wisely, reject deception quickly, and anchor my beliefs firmly in your word. I do not want to be easily swayed by trends or intimidated by opposition. Ground me in truth so that I remain steady even when opinions shift. Father, I ask you to cultivate gratitude within me today. Gratitude guards the heart from entitlement and despair. Help me notice your gifts, both large and small. The breath in my lungs, the strength to rise, the provision I often overlook, the grace that sustains me. Let thanksgiving become my reflex rather than complaint. Even in challenges, teach me to recognize your faithfulness. Even in loss, teach me to trust your goodness. Lord, as I move through this day, remind me often that you are near. Not only when I pray, not only when I worship, but in every step, every pause, every moment of decision. Let the awareness of your presence shape how I live. When I forget, gently remind me. When I falter, steady me. When I feel overwhelmed, draw me back to this place of surrender. I remain before you now with an open heart, aware that this work you are doing within me is ongoing, unfolding, and purposeful. I do not rush ahead of you, and I do not retreat in fear. I stay attentive, receptive, and willing, trusting that as I continue to yield to you, you will continue to lead me, shape me, and prepare me for what lies ahead. And staying here in this posture of openness before you, I now ask you, Lord, to anchor everything you are shaping within me into the reality of how I will live, endure, and remain faithful beyond this moment of prayer. Because I know that surrender is not proven by words spoken in stillness, but by choices made when pressure returns. Father, teach me how to walk this out when the day unfolds in ways I cannot predict. When interruptions come that disrupt my plans, remind me that you are not disrupted. When delays slow my progress, remind me that you are not late. When obstacles rise that test my patience, remind me that you are using resistance to refine me, not to stop me. I ask you to give me spiritual endurance, the kind that does not burn bright for a moment and then fade, but the kind that remains steady, faithful, and grounded even when the journey feels long. Strengthen my resolve to keep choosing you again and again throughout this day, not just in moments of inspiration, but in moments of fatigue, frustration, and uncertainty. Lord, I ask you to guard my heart against discouragement. Discouragement creeps in quietly, whispering that effort is wasted, that obedience is unnoticed, that faithfulness does not matter. Silence those lies with truth. Remind me that you see what others do not see, that you honor what the world overlooks, and that no act of obedience offered to you is ever forgotten. When progress feels invisible, anchor me in the assurance that you are working beneath the surface. When results are slow, help me trust the process you are orchestrating. Father, I ask you to strengthen my courage today. Courage not only to act, but to remain. There are moments when leaving feels easier than staying, when quitting feels simpler than persevering, when retreat feels safer than obedience. Give me the courage to stay faithful where you have planted me. Give me the courage to hold my ground when opposition rises, to stand firm when my convictions are tested, and to remain gentle without becoming passive, bold without becoming harsh. Teach me the balance of strength and humility that reflects your heart. Lord, I bring before you my inner battles, the ones no one else sees. The thoughts that accuse, the doubts that question my worth, the fears that predict failure before I begin. I ask you to quiet these voices and replace them with truth. Speak identity where there has been insecurity. Speak assurance where there has been fear. Speak hope where there has been weariness. I want my inner dialogue to align with your word, not with my past wounds or present anxieties. Train my mind to return quickly to truth when it begins to wander into fear. Father, help me carry peace into spaces that feel tense. Let my presence reflect your calm, not my stress. When conversations become difficult, slow my reactions. When misunderstandings arise, give me clarity without defensiveness. When I feel misunderstood, remind me that I am fully known by you. I ask you to help me walk in wisdom, choosing words that heal rather than harm, silence that protects rather than avoids, and truth spoken in love rather than frustration. Lord, I ask you to sanctify my time today. Time is precious, and I do not want to spend it carelessly. Help me discern what deserves my attention and what distracts me from what matters most. Teach me when to say yes and when to say no. Guard me from overcommitting out of fear of disappointing others, and from withdrawing out of self-protection. Help me steward each moment as an opportunity to honor you, whether it feels significant or ordinary. Father, I ask you to protect me from comparison. Comparison steals joy, distorts calling, and breeds discontent. Remind me that you have not called me to run someone else's race or to measure my life against another's progress. Free me from the pressure to perform for approval. Teach me to celebrate others without diminishing myself and to remain secure in the unique path you have set before me. I trust that what you are doing in my life is purposeful, even if it looks different from what you are doing in someone else's. Lord, I bring before you the areas of my life where patience is being tested, waiting for answers, waiting for change, waiting for breakthrough, waiting for healing. In these waiting spaces, teach me to remain anchored rather than anxious. Help me resist the urge to force outcomes or to settle for shortcuts that would compromise integrity. Teach me that your timing is not punishment, but preparation. Let my waiting become an act of worship, a declaration that I trust you, even when I do not understand the delay. Father, I ask you to guard me against subtle compromise. Compromise rarely begins with open rebellion. It begins with small concessions, quiet justifications, gradual drift. Make me alert to these shifts. Strengthen my convictions so that I do not trade eternal purpose for temporary comfort. Give me the clarity to recognize when something pulls me away from you, even if it appears harmless or socially acceptable. I choose holiness not out of fear, but out of love for you. Lord, I ask you to cultivate perseverance within me. Perseverance when prayers seem unanswered. Perseverance when obedience is misunderstood. Perseverance when the cost feels personal. Remind me that you are a God who finishes what you begin. Remind me that the same grace that called me will sustain me. When my strength wanes, teach me to lean into yours rather than withdrawing. Father, I ask you to help me live today with eternal perspective. Let me remember that this life is not all there is, that my choices echo beyond this moment. Help me prioritize what is lasting over what is urgent, what is meaningful over what is impressive, what honors you over what merely pleases people. Shape my values according to your kingdom, not according to shifting cultural standards. Lord, I ask you to deepen my love. Love that is patient when tested. Love that is kind when inconvenient. Love that forgives even when apology is absent. Love that reflects your heart in a world that is often harsh and divided. Teach me to love without condition, without agenda, without fear of being taken advantage of, trusting that you are my defender and my reward. Father, as I continue walking through this day, remind me that growth is often quiet and transformation is often gradual. Do not let me despise small beginnings. Help me recognize that each faithful step matters, even when the outcome is not immediately visible. I choose to trust the work you are doing in me, trusting that you are shaping me for something greater than what I can currently see. And so I remain here in this posture of surrender and expectancy. I now bring this prayer to its closing, not as an ending of dependence on you, but as a sealing of everything I have placed into your hands. Father, I thank you for hearing me. I thank you not because every answer is visible yet, not because every situation has resolved, but because I trust your faithfulness. You are the God who listens when your children speak, who leans close when hearts are honest, who responds with wisdom that reaches far beyond what we can imagine. I thank you that nothing I have brought before you today has been ignored, dismissed, or overlooked. Every word spoken in faith, every concern offered in humility, every tear that formed without words has been seen and received by you. Lord, I declare now that this day belongs to you. My steps belong to you. My choices belong to you. My thoughts belong to you. I release fear of what I cannot control and rest in the truth that you are already present in every moment ahead of me. Where uncertainty waits, you are there. Where difficulty rises, you are there. Where joy unfolds, you are there. I will not walk into this day alone, because you go before me as my guide, you walk beside me as my companion, and you remain behind me as my covering. Father, I seal every decision I will make today in prayer. Let my yes be aligned with your will, and my no be protected by your wisdom. If I am tempted to step outside of your guidance, gently redirect me. If I grow weary, remind me where my strength comes from. If fear attempts to speak louder than faith, anchor me again in your promises. I choose to walk forward not with arrogance, but with confidence rooted in you. Not with haste, but with discernment. Not with anxiety, but with peace. Lord, I place every outcome into your hands. I release the pressure to fix, manage, or resolve everything on my own. I trust you with results. I trust you with timing. I trust you with consequences. Teach me to obey without bargaining, to follow without demanding explanation, and to trust without needing constant reassurance. I believe that obedience to you is never wasted, even when it is misunderstood, even when it is unseen, even when it feels costly. Father, I ask you to bless every person connected to this prayer. For those who are listening and feel overwhelmed, I ask you to surround them with peace that surpasses understanding. For those who feel lost, shine your light gently on their path. For those who feel exhausted, renew their strength. For those who are discouraged, lift their eyes to see hope again. For those who are waiting, steady their hearts. For those who are hurting, bring comfort and healing. Let no one leave this moment feeling abandoned or unseen. Lord, bless homes with your presence. Bring unity where there has been division. Bring understanding where there has been tension. Bring patience where there has been frustration. Bless families with protection, provision, and peace. Guard relationships from bitterness and misunderstanding. Restore what has been strained and heal what has been broken. Where words have wounded, bring reconciliation. Where silence has lingered, bring honest communication. Father, I ask you to bless work and responsibilities. Grant wisdom in decisions, integrity in actions, and diligence in effort. Let labor done today be meaningful and aligned with your purposes. Open doors that no one can shut, and close doors that would lead away from you. Protect from burnout and remind every heart that worth is not measured by productivity, but by identity in you. Lord, I ask you to bless minds with clarity and calm. Silence anxious thoughts, still racing worries. Replace mental exhaustion with rest. Teach us to take every thought captive and submit it to the truth of your word. Where fear has taken root, uproot it. Where confusion has clouded judgment, bring light. Where heaviness has lingered, release joy. Father, I ask you to bless bodies with strength and health. For those who are sick, bring healing. For those who are weary, bring renewal. For those who feel physically weak, restore vitality. Let your healing touch reach every place of need, both visible and unseen. You are the God who heals, the God who restores, the God who makes whole. Lord, I declare that this day will not be marked by fear, confusion, or defeat. It will be marked by trust, obedience, and faith. I will not be ruled by circumstances because my confidence is anchored in you. I will not be shaken by uncertainty because my foundation is secure. I will not be paralyzed by what I cannot see because I trust the one who sees all. Father, I choose to walk in faith today, faith that listens, faith that obeys, faith that waits, faith that acts when you say move and rests when you say stay. I choose to walk in humility, knowing that every good thing comes from you. I choose to walk in courage, knowing that you have not given me a spirit of fear. I choose to walk in love, knowing that love reflects your heart more than anything else. Lord, as I step into this day, remind me often of this moment. When distractions rise, bring me back to surrender. When pressure builds, bring me back to trust. When fatigue sets in, bring me back to dependence. Let this prayer echo throughout my day, shaping my responses, guiding my choices, and anchoring my heart. I place my life fully into your hands, past, present, and future, known and unknown, seen and unseen. I trust you completely. I follow you willingly. I rest in you confidently. And so, with a heart that is surrendered, a spirit that is strengthened, and a faith that is anchored in you, I close this prayer with gratitude and trust, believing that you will continue to lead me step by step, moment by moment, according to your perfect will. In the mighty, faithful, and loving name of Jesus Christ, I pray. Amen. Finally, my beloved, I know you're tired. I know you've walked roads that promised answers, only to leave you with more questions than when you started. I know there have been nights when you whispered prayers into the darkness, hoping for a response, and the silence felt heavy, almost louder than words. I know your hands are tired, not just from work, but from carrying burdens no one else sees. Worries about your family, decisions that feel bigger than your strength, dreams that were once alive but now feel bruised and left behind. I know how exhausting it is to keep pretending you're holding everything together when inside you're just trying to make it through one more day. I know how deeply you long for clarity, for a sign, or even for a quiet, gentle whisper from God saying, "This is the right way." And here is what I want you to hear right now. God understands you more deeply than you understand yourself. He knows the exact shape of the ache inside you. He knows the questions that surface in the middle of the night when everything else is quiet. He remembers the prayers you prayed as a child, the ones filled with hope and simplicity, the ones you tucked away when life became complicated. He hears the new prayers too, the ones you struggle to put into words. He sees the hidden corners of your life where shame tries to hide and where hope waits cautiously. He sees the moments you tried to be brave and the moments you fell short and thought it was the end. He sees you with infinite tenderness, just as you are right now, afraid, honest, longing, and He is not distant. He is not indifferent. He is closer than the breath you just took. There is a sacred stillness in those honest places, the moments when you stop performing and finally tell the truth. In that stillness, God leans in close. He does not rush you. He does not shame your questions. He does not mock the fears that have kept you awake. Instead, He comes near like a shepherd who bends down to care for a fragile lamb. And He guides you not by pushing you into frantic motion, but by giving you one clear thing at a time. A thought that settles your spirit, a gentle nudge, a verse of scripture that lands like light breaking through fog. Sometimes it's a person who crosses your path at just the right moment. God's guidance is not always dramatic. It isn't always loud or obvious. Often it's quiet and steady, like an unseen hand slowly turning a small compass needle until you begin to trust the direction. Remember David in the wilderness, a shepherd boy overlooked by others but seen by God. Remember the disciples who walked with Jesus, often confused, often unsure, yet faithful enough to keep following until everything became clear. The same God who guided them sees your path now, even when it feels tangled and unclear. He is not overwhelmed by the chaos in your life. He is order in the chaos. He makes pathways where none seem possible. He is patient with your pace, and He delights in every step you take toward Him, even the trembling ones, especially the trembling ones. If courage feels far away today, let gratitude come closer. If answers haven't arrived, let trust hold you steady. Sometimes the simple prayer, "Lord, what should I do?" is the very thing that opens heaven's door. Sometimes the miracle isn't an immediate answer, but learning how to wait. A holy, beautiful waiting that softens your heart and sharpens your hearing. This isn't passive resignation. This is active faith. It's a faith that says, "I will seek you even when I can't see the whole road. I will follow you even when the path feels narrow." So today, bring God what you cannot change. The fear that whispers you're not enough. The regret that circles your thoughts. The plans that have fallen apart. Lay them down. Tell Him the truth. Ask Him for the next step. Then sit quietly and listen. He will answer. Maybe not the way you expect. Maybe not on your timeline. But He will answer with wisdom that sees beyond beginnings and endings. And when that answer comes, it will feel like coming home. You are not alone. You are seen. You are known. And the God who knows you is gently, steadily, lovingly leading you toward the place where your soul will find rest. Take a breath. Take one step. He will meet you there.